This is where you look at the architecture of Copenhagen.
Right.
And it's quite typical for Copenhagen to have these buildings that with this architecture. Small towers, small up in the top. And not much higher than that. I mean, 4 or 5 floors maximum.
You have Muslims living in this
Yes,
area?
you have, I think out of this 1.5 million people living in or 1.2 million people living in proper Copenhagen, I think you may have around 50,000 people just living in here, right?
Yeah, more, maybe more.
Maybe more.
Yeah. So we are now in Copenhagen.
We are in Copenhagen. This city, this road leads all the way directly to the center, where you have the central station of Copenhagen, you have the city hall of Copenhagen, and so the proper central Copenhagen, this road leads all the way straight to it.
So given that we have a large number of Muslims here, as we are driving, could you point us to a masjid here?
I'll show you one. There's actually one, it's not out on the main road. There's one coming up in around 100 meters from now. So it goes down one of the side streets and directly to one very big Pakistani mosque. Madani Mosque, I think it's called in Vegetable Masjid, we also call it.
Yeah.
Right. So we will be having a look at that mosque.
No, we will just drive past it.
Yes.
Yeah. We won't be able to see it from outside here.
Outside you do not have a minaret.
None of the Pakistani mosques have minarets, but I think the Shia mosque is built with minar. And what about the Qatari mosque?
Yeah.
Is that also built with minar? Those are the two latest large mosques.
Tell about this famous Pakistani restaurant.
Yeah. On the right side, if you look at it, Pakistani and Indian food. It's a friend of ours, a very nice guy. It's called Columbia Pizza and Restaurant. They serve very good pizzas and Pakistani food as well.
Right.
One of the most famous restaurant
Among Pakistanis in Copenhagen, yes.
Speaking about the restaurant, the food are sourced from halal?
The food is sourced from halal. In Denmark, what you have is all the chicken, I would say around 95 to probably 100% of the chicken are halal slaughtered. Because Denmark has a very big export of halal chicken to the Middle East, for example.
Do the chickens go to Saudi Arabia?
Chickens go to Saudi Arabia as well.
From Denmark?
They do.
So
I think they used to do. I don't know if they import them anymore because Saudi Arabia built their own poultry farms, very big ones.
Who does the monitoring at the slaughterhouse?
There is an institution in Islamic Culture Center here in Denmark, one of the oldest mosques in Denmark. They have a committee who does the monitoring. I think once a year they go to all the main slaughterhouses and just check whether the procedure is still being followed regarding numbing the animal before the slaughter itself and using the takbir, and they have Muslims at the machinery. So what they normally do here is if they have a production of, let's say, 40,000 chicken that day, then there will be a Muslim starting the machine, and before he starts it, he'll do a niyat for slaughtering 40,000, so a multiple combined niyat.
When you say machine, what do you mean machine?
All the chicken are
Mechanical
hanged up. They're mechanically slaughtered. They're hanged up in a machine and a transport rail where they're hanged upside down, and then first they go through a waterbed which is electrified, so they get numbed with an electroshock. They don't die.
They get stunned, you mean stunned?
They get stunned, yes. And then
but are you sure they don't die?
Yes, because there's a procedure to keep on to monitor why they don't die.
Oh, right.
Because according to Danish law, you're not allowed to put any animal out on the freezing desk in the shops that contains an amount of blood. So what they do is, after stunning the animal when it's unconscious, they pass it through a blade and cut off the throat.
So you have a blessed blade?
You have I don't know if the blade is blessed, but it's a Muslim running the machine.
But I just want to clarify, the animal is not slaughtered by hand?
The animal is not slaughtered by hand.
But
no,
by machine?
They're all machine products.
So all Muslims eating mechanical slaughter food?
They are all eating. Yeah, there's a fatwa regarding this, and it's approved from Makkah as well. So
from Makkah?
Yes, there's an Islamic fatwa from Makkah from the council, fatwa council.
So we are passing by Kababish.
This is Kababish. It's also a good friend of ours. They also participated yesterday. They sponsored our event yesterday as well. It's a Pakistani restaurant, Kababish. And then they have this procedure. After slaughtering the animal, they'll put it through a boiled water process.
Main railway station is on
Yes.
your right
This
side.
is the central station of Copenhagen on our right side. This one.
All right.
Yeah. And then when they boil it, they monitor whether the color of the animal is too red. If it's too much red, then it contains.
Yes, and
Yeah,
show
yeah,
him the
right, yes.
Tivoli. This is one of the famous sightseeing.
If you look in front of us on the right side, this over here, it's behind the Hard Rock Cafe. It's the Tivoli Gardens. This is maybe 150 or 200 years old. It's a amusement park, and it's one of the oldest amusement parks in the world, if not the oldest. They say actually that Disney World and all this, that Disney, he got inspired by Tivoli Gardens, and then he built Disneyland and Disney World.
डिज्नीलैंड बाद में बनाई
That came after this, yes. This is quite old. But as I was saying, there was a process where they check to see if the animal has a color of red when they boil it, and if it's too much red, then it contains too much blood. That means that the animal was dead before slaughtering it. So that is taken away, because it's illegal for them to put it on the to sell it in the.
Inshallah, we need to follow up the discussion on halal food because I'm very worried at the moment. Jazakallah.